this tutorial we will build the second screen of this food app UI that you can see on the Figma design. It's the home screen that we will be building. So before any further delay, let's get started. So here inside the screen folder, I will create a new file known as home screen, where we will be building the UI for our home screen. So let's create a stateless widget, give it the name home screen. I will start with the scaffold and let's navigate to this screen. So I will go back to the login screen. From here, whenever this login button is tapped, I would like to move to that screen that we just created. So I will use navigator dot push method. We need to provide material page route, and using material page route we are going to build a new route that will be showing us the new screen that we just created. It will be the home screen, and I need to add a semicolon here. So our navigation has been set up. Let's try it out. I will tap on the login. Nothing happens. Let's sorry, we have been mistaken here. I don't need to put it in the create account. Instead we need to put it in the login. So we are on the login screen. Here we have this login button, which is this custom button. So I need to find on pressed. Oh, sorry, we haven't added an on press callback here, so we need to add one here. So this is the button and this is the on pressed. So just copy this declaration of the on tab callback, and I will take it in the constructor, and I will assign it to this on pressed. So whatever we pass in that custom button will be passed in the on pressed method for this button. And now here in the custom button we can pass this on pressed, and here we will just copy. We need to copy that navigator thing that we just lost. So I will create it again. It will be navigator. Sorry, I've mistaken here. It will be navigator dot push, and here we need to pass this material page route again, builder, and it will return the home screen. So our navigation has been set up. Now when I tap on this login button, it has our UI has been moved to the next screen, which is the home screen. I will just remove this screenshot that was taken mistakenly. Now I need to create this screen. So at the top we have this greeting for the user. So I will just write this text for that. At the top I need this text to be added. I will need body here, and the first widget will be column. Here I need to add children's, but before that you can see it is the entire column that we have, and then we have the padding or margins added to the left and right. So I will just wrap it in the padding widget. I need to provide symmetric margins. We can get it from the login screen that we already added these margins, I think so. Let's find out the padding. Yeah, here we have it. So let's go to the home screen again, and here I will just add horizontal padding of 20, and we have set the padding. Now we need to add text that will greet the user. Here we will be providing username, so we can just add John Doe. Hi John Doe. We can just add dummy one. Now in order to make it fit on the screen, you can see it's behind the status bar. So what we can do here, we can add some padding, and that will be the vertical padding to be media query. We can use this media query to get the height of the status bar so that we can give our padding according to it. So we have the media query with us, and after that media query, if I use this dot, then we can access the padding using what you can say dot of context, or we can use this size of, and then we have the padding that we can access. We have created a bit of mess. Let's take it out from here, just remove this, and we can add it. Now it's good. We just need to add this one. Now we can add here a double value that will be vertical margins or top margin for this status bar. So here we can use this media query, and here we can get the padding, which will be dot padding. I think we have mistaken this thing. We can get that using dot off, and then we have different options here. We have the gesture settings, accessible navigation. Here we have the padding, and from here we can get top the top padding, which is for the status bar. So we need to add it here in the vertical. It will be top margin. What's wrong here? The vertical takes double value and it's a double. So what's wrong here? We need to remove this fonts just, and you can see we have added the padding as per the size of the status bar, so it is on the perfect place now. Now we need to add some styling to this text, and it will be h1. Let's see how it looks. It's very big, we need to make it small. So let's test the body here, and I will copy it with color that will be, what color do we need? It's going to be black, so we will just add the black here. You can see it, but we also need to make it bold. We also need to do some adjustments, so let's give it a font weight, and that will be 5 or 600. So it looks like the one that we have here in this Figma. So I think it looks good. About the color, this color is a bit different, this black, so we can just use the other black, original black that we have, and I think it's looking nice. We just need to add this exclamation here. So this is hi John Doe, and now we can move to the next widget, which is this row in which we have this location icon, and then we have some text here. So we will create this widget. For that we need to create a row first, and here the first thing is an icon, that will be icons dot, we can add location icon, just location. Let's find out something for location. Add location, it's going to be a bit different. Yes, we need a different, that will be icons dot location. Let's use this city one. No, just location. Let's see if we have one. Location disabled or history location on. Let's try this one. Or we have the pin, we need the location pin. This is the icon we need, or we can also export it from here, so we can use this icon. So let's export it, and here we can make it 1x and it's in png. Let's export it to the assets directory. So we will use this assets directory and save it here. We will change the name, that is for location pin. So I will use location pin for the name. Sorry, it got missed. That will be location. We can just call it location. And now we need to use this icon here. So instead of using the Flutter's material icons, we will now pick the one from assets, that will be assets slash location dot png. And you can see the icon has been built here inside the constants. We can also store that path to this logo here, sorry, not the logo, the location icon in this constant directory, and we can just pick that directly. So here if I replace it, what I can do is I can just paste it in a constant variable, that will be const, and it will be location. Here I will paste this string, that is the path to the icon. So I can add icons here. It's a good practice that we can follow. So I will add location here, and it's been picked. Now here, after in the row, we have the location icon, and then we have this location. So just paste this text here in order to replicate that. I will use this, and we have it built. I will give a spacing here. It looks a bit more according to the UI, but I think the text needs to be made a bit smaller, so we can adjust that. I will add styling here. Here, add this text style and set the font size to something like 12 to make it a bit small, or I think 13 will be good. That will add some visibility. Also for the color, we can add colors dot gray, so it looks more like design now. And then we have this icon, which is the bells icon. So it will be in the row with this whole thing. We have this text, then we have this row, and we combine these two in a column, and then that column is in row with this icon. So that's how we can add this icon here. So what I can do, I can wrap all these in a column that will be in row with this uh, what you call it, it's notifications icon. So let's copy it from here. I will add another column that will have children. In the children, we will be having those icons, but now this column will be in a row with this bell icon. So I can just wrap this column in a row, and then that row will contain this column, and then we will have the uh, which is the notification icon in the row. So with this column, I can add this icon to the icons dot notification, but we need to give spacing between these two, this column and this icon. So for that, I will use this row, and the main axis alignment is going to be space between. So icon has been moved. It will be a bit the icon needs to be made a bit large, so I will give it some sizing. That will be like 30, and see how it looks. We can also increase it a bit more. I think it's enough. We can also add it a color, which will be this color. So from here I can take this color. Let's paste it here in the constants. I will create a new color that will be bell color, or icon bell color. Well, a good design practice is that you follow same colors. You choose 2 or 3 colors for your design, and you follow the same colors all over in design. But here, since we have this design, which is a public design I picked from somewhere, so we will just follow their color styling. So here I need to provide that color, which is the notification. What did I name it? Constants bell color. So just add bell color here. So the color has been changed. Now we need to move this text to the left as well. So for that, what we can do, inside the column, where do we have the column, which is this one? Here we need to set the cross-axis alignment to start, and it's been moved to the left. So our this widget has been built. Now we need to build this search field. For that, we need to provide some spacing. We can also extract this thing, and we can call it something like header, because it looks like a header. So we can just extract this widget, or we can extract this method. It will be build app bar or header. You can give it your own name. So the code has been made a bit clean, and this is the method that we are using here. So we have a clean hierarchy now for these widgets. Now we can uh, get some spacing here. I will prefer to give size box with the height of 20, and then here I need to add the text field. We already created a text field. Sorry, we didn't create a text field, we just created this button. So let's create this text field now. So what do we need here? We don't have any border here, so let's remove this border from here. Also, I think 10 height will work here. The spacing is enough. Here I need to remove this border side. So I will go to decoration, and then we have the input decoration. Here we need to find the border side, and we have the border. It is outline input border. From here we can just set the border side to none, and now you can see we don't have any border. The border has been removed. We need a search icon here, the hint text, which is the search your food or restaurant. So we will add it in the hint text. That will be right here. So let's just add this here, search your food or restaurant. Now we will be extracting this widget. It will be a custom widget, and we will call it custom text field. So this is the new widget that we have created. We can also pass this heading, sorry, this hint text. We can also take it in the parameters here that we can pass here. So let's create a string, which is the best practice. It will be hint, and this hint is going to be, let's make it nullable. This hint is going to be taken whenever this custom field is created. So we will just replace the hint here, and above here in the text field we need to pass this hint. And now you can see we have this hint here in the text field. Now we also need to add this search icon, and then we also need to give some shade here in order to make it visible. The boundaries needs to be visible. So let's add the search icon here first. So we can use either the Flutter own material icon for it, or we can use the one from the design. So let's, for ease and convenience, let's add it from here, from the Flutter, and we have the prefix icon. I will just use icon, and that will be icons.search. You can see we have the search icon being added here as prefix icon. Now what else do we need to do? We need to add this filter here. For that we can go for suffix, and here I need to add this container that will be of color black. What's wrong? Do we have some error here, or it's okay? So here in this container, what I can do, I can specify some height and width. Let's set it 50. Width should also be 50. It's a bit more than the text field size, so we need to minimize it, and it will be something like 30. It's messing the whole thing. What if we make it something like 20? But it had caused a huge mess. But in order to visualize it better we needed some elevation here, so that it is properly visible. Then we can adjust these things accordingly. So we will just remove this suffix icon from here now, and instead we need to add these shades here to the borders, so that it is visible. So in order to add some shades, we can wrap this with material widget, and we can give some elevation here. Elevation is going to be, we have a default value set to 0. Let's give it something like 1 to see how it looks. You can see a bit of shade has been added here. We can increase it, and now let's make it rounded, because this button will be rounded a bit. So I will just add border radius, that will be circular, and let's add 14 here. Well, it looks a bit better now. You can play with these shades and you can make it visible. So I think elevation of 2 will be enough here, and this radius should be increased. So I think this 16 will look better. We can also use a container to add shades here. So instead of this thing that we have here, material, what we can do, we can wrap it in a container, and container we have the decoration. We will set this box decoration, and then we have the box shadow. Here we need to provide the box shadow. Here inside this box shadow we need to provide the color, and the color is going to be, we can set gray. We can set the color to gray, but it will impact the whole container. So let's change it. Here we need to set the offset. It will be offset 1 and 1. Similarly, we also need to adjust some other values, which is the blur radius and splash radius. So we will adjust these values. Let's add 5 here. No, we need to minimize it too. Then we need to add the splash radius. So here the spread radius, not splash radius, we will also set it to 2. So we have this thing here. We have provided the shades, but here the text field should have its own color. So what we can do here, inside the decoration, do we have some color? Yes, we have a color here. We will use the fill color, and it will be set to some color, which is the white that we are using here. And then we will set the fill property to true and see how it looks. Well, we have the shades here. We also need to provide the border radius here, so it will be the border radius in the container. We will make it circular, and we have it rounded a bit. But here we also need to add these borders in the text field as well. So here we need to provide the circular, and it is going to be 14. So now it's been rounded, and I think here we have almost the same, but we can also check it from here. It's been set to 12. I think this one looks more in line with the one we have in the design, but here you can see this shade is a bit darker. We can minimize it, we can change these values, we can play around with these values for offset and all that, but I think it's going to be 1. What we can do, we can reduce this blur radius, or we can reduce the spread radius, so we can play around with it. We need to adjust these offset values. It's going to be 1. Let's increase it. Well, we can play around with these values, increase this blur radius and then the spread radius. Okay, we can also add some opacity here with this gray color. That's going to be 0.6 to make it a bit light. And what if we make it 0? 0, 0. We can reduce this display radius. Let's make it 1. And similarly, the blur radius also make it 1. So in that way we can adjust these values. You can play around with it. What is the best practice, that you can give this query to ChatGPT to adjust, to give you this box shadow object, and it will give you the standard styling for this one. So we can play around with it, but I think we have built a bit of similar kind of text field. Yes, we have a difference in the color here, the background color, so we can remove this fill color, so we can also fit it with the one that we have in the background. So we can make it something like the original white. The background is a bit different. It's the standard color that we have for background. So background color, we can find the property here. Let's see if we have the color specified from the description shown for this. This is the color for default, so we can take it from here, from the theme. So now let's use this color instead of this one. Dot scaffold color. It can be accessed to static. Okay, so we will just use theme data dot off theme data that from fallback dot light, and then we can access this color. Now let's see how it looks. Just remove this thing here, and you can see it is of the same color that we have here, but we need to make this correction. Uh, the overall color is white in this design. So what we can do here, we can make this text field white, and also the background to be set to white. So here I will just specify the background color to white, and now I can also set the text field to white instead of the scaffold color. So let's make it white, and it will look good now. And you can adjust these shades here. Now also give some spacing. So we will move to the home screen back, and here I need to add some spacing after the text field. So we have created this custom text field here, and after that I need to give some spacing. The height is going to be set to something like 15, and then after that we can add this card that we have here. So we need to export this image. Once we export it, we can call it something like card, and then we can add image in this form here. For that we can use image dot asset, and here we need to provide assets slash card dot png. You can see we have the image here. Here we can wrap this widget in the clip or rect, and we can specify border radius here. You can see this is an image, and the image already have these corners as rounded. If you have a square image, then you need to add it here in the clip oval, and then you need to set the border radius. It will be the border radius dot circular, and you can add something like 16. So it will look fit, and the square corners will be rounded like this one. And then you can see we have some text overlaid on this card. So for that we can use a stack here. So I will just wrap this with column, and I will change it to stack widget. And now on top of this picture we can add this text and the button here. So I need to add a column here with the children, because you can see we have these three widgets: get special discount up to 75% in claim voucher. So we need to add these in the form of a column. So I will add the text first, and it will be get special discount. Let's copy it and paste it here. After that we have some other text, and it has up to 75%. So let's copy it from here as well. Then we need to add this button here. So we will add the button, but before that let's just fix these text sizes. I will choose the style to be, let's choose this, it will be body, and we can use the copy with to add styling to this text. So it will be body, and then we have the copy with. Do we need to add something other? It has this grayish color, so we can add the color to gray. I will add this colors.gray. You can also store this constant color in the constant file, then you can just access it to the variable. And we also need to add some padding here from the top and from the left. So we can also play around with that. Just wrap this with the padding widget, and here we need to add some symmetric padding. On the horizontal we can add for instance 20, and for the vertical we can also add 10. So it's now in the right place, and we can also add some spacing. You can see there is spacing between these two. So what I need to do here is to add a size box with the height 10, and here I need to specify styling for this as well. That will be, just use h1 dot copy with, we will specify the color. The color is going to be the white, so I will use the white here, and it is now up to 75%. Then you can see this has been moved from its place, so we can set the cross axis alignment to make it align to the left, and we can add start here. It's been aligned to the left. Here it needs to be a bit less. Also the vertical needs to be increased. It looks good. We have up to 75%, and the size for it also looks good. Now below this text we also need to give some spacing of 10 height. Then we need to add a button here, so let's create another button which will be elevated. Here whenever this is tapped, we don't need to add something here in, because it is just a UI tutorial, but you can add your logic here in the on pressed. Here the text is going to be claim voucher, so we will just replace this with claim voucher. And here we need to style this button a bit, so for that I need to add style property. It will be elevated button dot style from. Here I can specify different thing. We have the color here, so if we take the color of this thing, it's the white, so we can specify the background color to be white. Sorry, it's background builder, we need the background color. It's been set to white now. And then we need a bit different shape. For that we can add this shape property here, and here we can use the rounded rectangular border. Here we need to specify the border radius. We can take the border radius from the Figma as well. Just let's add it a random one here, or reduce it a bit to 10. Now we need to adjust the size of this button. We need to make it a bit small, and the text also needs to be made a bit small. So this will be, we add styling to the text, that will be body, and we can copy with some font size that's going to be like 12. What's wrong? We need to add a color here. It will be black. So 12 or 13, this is gonna work. 13 is going to work for us. We need to now adjust the sizing, so but for that let's extract this widget. We will call it card button, something like that. And here in the card button, we will go down here. We have this card custom text field. This is the card button. Here I need to adjust the sizing a bit, so I will wrap it in the size box. I will provide it some height. Let's give it something like 30. And we can also give it some width, and that width is going to be, you can give it a fixed width or you can leave it as it is, and I think it looks good like this. So here the spacing needs to be improved a bit, so I will leave the width as it is, and at the top I need to adjust the spacing here. So let's make it 15, and we have our card ready here. You can, if you want to make it pixel perfect, so you can also take the spacing according to the distance between these two widgets. So you can pick the position of this one, which is from x50, but on y is 182, and you can also pick this one, just 217. So you minus this 182 from 217 pixel, so you get the exact spacing. So you can also make it pixel perfect, whichever works best for you. So for this tutorial we will just go with that, and we have also created the card. Now we can move down to these categories. So I will get back to the main screen here, and here after the stack what we need to do here to provide some spacing with the height 20, and below that I need to use a list view, and that will be of axis horizontal, so we will be able to scroll these things. For that, what I can do, I can use the list view dot builder, and I will specify an item builder, like specify 6. Then we have the item builder here. Sorry, it's the item builder, and we need to provide a widget here. So let's provide a container for time being. Let's specify the height, and the height will be something like 50, and the width will also be 50. Then we need to add some decoration here. Actually, box decoration, we need to specify the shape, and that will be box shape dot circle. So we need a circle now. Also we need to provide some color here. It will be, we can give it like black. So this is what going to be built here, but we don't have any item count here. So let's add item count set to 5. Nothing's been shown here. I think there is some error. We need to change the axis to horizontal, so it will be scroll direction, and then we have the axis dot horizontal. Still we have some issue here. We need to provide some sizing here because it's unbounded. It's list, we have the list view, and list view is of unbounded height or width, so we need to specify the height here. It's going to be taking something like 100, and you can see now we can reduce it to something like 80, and also to 70. Now here we need to add some spacing in between them, so we can use list view dot separated instead. This is going to give us another thing, which is a separator builder, and here we can just add some spacing. It will be size box. Here we can provide the width. Let's give the spacing of 10 between each of these widgets. So now let's compare, but before that we have this title here. We need to add this text here as well first. So I will add this text, that will be categories, and we also have a show all button here. So we will just wrap it in a row, and it will be main axis alignment or space between. We have this text and another text that will say show all, that we have here. This will be a button, because whenever this is tapped we will move to some other screen. So just wrap this widget with inkwell, and here we need to provide the on tap, and we can add the logic here. But we have the categories here, and we also have the show all. The categories will be having some different styling. It will be a bit big. We need to use copy with, and we need to add the color as black, and you can see it's a bit small. We can also change it to style, text style. The font size is going to be a bit less, like 12 or 13. So it looks good now. So we have it done, but we need to change the color to blue because it is a button. So I will just change it to blue. Let's change the color. It will be colors dot blue. Colors dot blue. It looks like some call to action now. We can also add some underline decoration here. So we have this text decoration, and we can use it to underline, to add an underline here. It now clearly shows that it's a button, so we can also add that. It's a good practice whenever you have text and similar text buttons. So text buttons can better be identified by adding an underline here. So that's not for this design, but it's a good practice that you can follow. And then you can extract all these widgets. So I think it's looking good. You can see we have it here, and then we also have this restaurants. So we can just extract this widget. It will be just extracts this method build section header or something like that. So I will give it the name section header, and here I need to create one because it's going to be used again. The shawl will remain same while these titles will be changing. So I will just pass a title here, string, and we will assign this title here to this text. It will be the title, and now we will just go up, and here I need to pass this title categories, and this has been built. We can also use to build another section that we will use for this restaurants. So after this size box I will just use the same, but here I need to add this restaurant now. So we have extracted this widget and it looks good now. I need to add size box, and let's add the height to 10. Now we also need to do some other adjustments. Let's make it 60, a bit big. I think it's looking good now. We also need some spacing between this section header. Let's give it 5. It's look better now. Here we need to add these images, so let's pick one image that we will add, and it's going to be this one, which is the pizza, or we can also add this pancake. So I need to export it. Where do we have this? Here I will just call it, I will save it as pancake, and now we can pick it from here. We have this circle, which is this container, so we can call it, we can extract this widget and we can call it category circle or something like that. And now we can play around with this circle. Here in the container we can provide decoration image, that will be decoration image. Here we need to provide image, so I will use the asset image. Here it will be assets slash pancake dot png, and you can see the pancake has been added here. We can also set a property which is the fit. It will be box fit dot cover, so that the whole container is covered. So we have added these icons here. You can pass all these icon paths etc in the parameters as well, so you can better adjust it. We can also add this title here. So below the container, so we will make it a column, and below this container we need to add some spacing that will be of height 5, and then we can add text here that will be something like pizza or pancake. So let's add pancake here. It's been overflowed because we have specified some spacing here, some size. We give it the size of 70, so let's increase it. Let's give it something like 100, and it looks a bit good now. We can also adjust it to something like 90, and the spacing can also be increased if needed. So but I think it looks good. Here we can pass this title, it will be a string and it will be title. We can also add path here, but I think the title is going to be enough. Let's add it as required, and here this title will be passed. So this, sorry, yes, it will be the title. And now here I've used this, so I need to pass this title. So we have the category widget ready. We can add some spacing between them. As we have used this list view dot separated, here the width is 10, we can make it 15, and you can see it goes off the screen. Here haven't used the padding. We have used a kind of what do you call it, screen wise padding. Here they haven't added screen wise padding, but they have added separate padding to each widget. So here for this widget they haven't added any padding, so it looks like this from here. Because we have this padding, we can either remove this padding from here, but we will need to add padding for every widget separately then. So I think we need to remove the padding, which is this global padding that we have added here. We have this vertical, sorry, no, not this one, which is this one. So horizontal padding, we don't need it to be here just for this widget. So if we remove from here, for all these widgets we will need to be adding this padding widget. So what we can do from here, we will leave this top margin while we will use this horizontal, and now we need to add it specifically to different widgets. So for this header we need to wrap this with padding, and that will be horizontal. Let's remove this const, it will be padding, and it will become dot symmetric, and add horizontal here, then add the value. So this is the padding that we will now add to all these widgets separately. So just copy it, and now the next thing is the search. So for the search we have this custom text field. So go to custom text field and wrap it in the padding widget as well. Now we need to add this bracket here as well. So we have added padding here. Now what we need to do here, we don't have padding added, but the size of this image has these padding, like the size of this image doesn't extend to the whole width of the screen, so that's why the padding appears here. But we also need to add padding in this widget, which is this tag that we have. So we will wrap this tag with padding, and we also need to add it here. And now we have the section header. We will also add padding here at row, and then after row we will add this padding. We need to make it return padding instead of row. Now we need to add padding to this thing, which is the list view as well. So we'll come down here, and here we need to add padding. So for padding we can just add container here, and we can add this padding in the container. So it will be edge inserts dot symmetric, and horizontal is going to be 20. No, we don't need to add it here, because we won't be leaving any padding here. So for that we will just use the only, and the left is going to be 20. And now you can see these can move into and out of the screen. So this is how it's going to look like, but here we need to have padding because it shows here. If you don't want to leave padding here, you can just remove this left as well. We have 5, so let's increase it to 7, and now we have 7 widgets here. So it's ready. One more thing here in the category circle, this needs to be a bit styled, so we will just use body, and we can copy it with color to black, and the font size is going to be made small. Let's make it 13. So it looks good now. Then we have the restaurant. We need to add some spacing here. I'll go to the top, and from here we need to have some more spacing, and now it's looking good. Now we have to build this list view as well. So we have another list view, and it's going to take all the available space, and here we will be using list view dot separated. Then we have the item builder here that we will use. In the separator builder we will just create a size box with the height. It will be about 10, so let's use 10 here. We have the item count, so let's give it a random count. And what else do we need here? The item builder, so we will return this container for time being. We have the container and we have the list ready here, but the container doesn't show anything, so let's give it some height like 50 and then add some color. So we'll use decoration, and that will be we will use decoration, and to be box decoration we need to provide some color here as well. Let's give it the black color and see how it looks. You can see we have the list being rendered here, and we can just scroll it up and down. So we need to do some adjustments now. What we will build here is that this widget that we can see here, that is the real item that we are going to be selling on this food app UI. So to build that, I will just play around with this container. So let's extract this widget as well, and it will be food item widget, and now we can play around with it. Here we need to do some adjustments, like the first thing, we will be having a row in which we have an image, then this column of texts, and then we have this label here. So for that, what we can do is to add a row in the child. This row will have children, and the first children will be, again, this will be an image. So we can just take this image, we can save it with us, export it, and it will be food item.png. So I will use this one. I will use the image.asset to be assets slash food item.png. You can see it's here. We can just add clip rect to clip the sides, but we can also we also need to add this border radius to the container as well, so we'll be adding it there as well. So just add it here. We have the color, and then we have the border radius, so we will use the border radius not circular, and let's give it the value of 16. We also need to add padding here, so this will add padding. That will be edge insets dot symmetric, it will be set to 20. Now it's internal padding, we don't need this, we can just switch it to margin, and just remove this 50, and let's see, it can take the image size now. So the image size, it has been fitted as per the image size, but we can change it. We can change the height to something like 100, or make it a bit small, 80. We can fit this image to this container, and we can use this fit property to make it fit in the size cover. And now we have the image with us. The container color doesn't need to be black, so just remove this black color. So we have this thing here. We need to make the other parts of container. So the border radius has been added. We also need to add some box shadow that we created earlier for giving some shade. We can also wrap it in material widget that we also used. So let's use material widget here. We'll wrap it in a widget with the name material. Here I need to add some elevation, so let's add 2. Where is the margin? This margin needs to be removed from here now, because we have a material over this container now. So we will just use the padding widget above this material, and we can use this here. It's looking good now. From material, here we need to make the color as white, and we have the shades here. What else do we need to do? We also need to give the same border radius to this material widget, and then only it will have rounded corners. You can see it has rounded corners now. We now need to give some spacing in the row that we created. So we have this row here. We will provide a size box here. It will be of having width of 10, and after that we need a column that will be showing these things. So let's create a column that will be having children. The first one will be some text that will be like Burger King. So we will use this burger and then king. This is the text to be shown here. Then we have a bit of spacing, a star, and we have this 4.5 rating. So I will just copy this star, or let's see if we have an icon for this star. So I will use the icons dot rating, a rate review or something like that. No, rate star rate. I think this is going to be the icon. Yes, we have it here. We can specify color, and that color can be something like yellow. Let's see how it looks. You can copy the exact color from here as well, but we have the rating here. It's again a row, so we will be just wrapping it in a row, and in the row we have the text with it. That will be 5.0. So we have the rating here, but you can see we have this column. In the column, it's in the center. We need to align it to the top left, so we will be using cross axis alignment dot start. And now it looks good. Below the star we also have some, no, not in the row, below the row. This star is in the row with this 5.0 rating. Here we need to also give some spacing, and below this row we need to add vertical spacing like 20, and after that we can add this text. We have this icon to be added as well, so it will be row again with the children. We have the text to be added. I think we have increased the spacing, or we need to increase this height a bit. It's less. I think 100 is good, and we can also reduce it to something like 15. I think it's good. We also have this icon. We can either export this one, or let's just add icon from here. Icons dot something like timer. Let's see how it looks. No, let's just export this one. So I will export it, and it will be something like clock.png. So I will use the asset image.asset to get the icon. It will be assets slash clock.png, and then we need to add some spacing here, so you can just add a space here. And after that we have this kilometer and all this stuff, so you can create either separate widgets for them, or you can just add something like this. And then you need a star. I will add a star, and then 7 kilometers, something like that, so you can play around with it. So we have built this widget as well. Now one more thing you can find, there is some issue here. The radius doesn't fit properly, so here I have added this image, so I also need to make it clip oval. It doesn't have these corners by default, the picture doesn't have it, but if you have a square image then it will cause issue. So just wrap in the clip oval, no, not clip oval, clip or rect for rounded rectangular. Here we can specify the border radius, and that's going to be border radius dot circular, and here we can provide some radius to this as well, but I think the size is a bit more than this picture, so we can just remove it, and it has taken the size of this image. And here you can find still the issue because the image is a rounded image, it's not a square image. Normally the images are square and you make it rounded, just like I used this clip or rect, and it better fits, but here it's rounded by default, and the border radius of the container and the image doesn't match, but it won't be the issue when you use square images, and images are square, that these are rounded by these widgets normally, but here in the Figma we have these rounded images. So I think the widget is ready. We need to add this label here as well. So we have this big row, and in the end we have another label here, which is this one. So we need to create a container, a small one, with the height of something like 20, 30, and with the width of something like 15. We have a child that will be text, and we can give it some name like new, and we need to specify a decoration. It's a size box, let's make it a container, and here we will be having some decoration, box decoration. Color will be set to white, and it will be of style body, not white, it will be black. We need to bring it to the center, with center widget. Also we need to add this styling here. So here in the container we can play around with decoration. It will be the border radius, but it will be border radius not only. We need to set the bottom left to rounded, so we'll use the bottom left, and it will be radius not circular, it will be 12. And we also need to adjust it a bit more, bottom left, and then we have the top right. So only these two needs to be adjusted, so it will be something like 16 because it will be same as we set for a container. And now we need to increase this a bit, let's make it 60. Now we need to align it at the top right, so let's see how to do it. Well, if we set the cross axis alignment to start, but we have provided padding here. We have padding in the container, it's horizontal 20, no, it's this padding. Inside this container we don't have any padding, so in the row we need to adjust this thing. Oh, what we can do here, we can use a spacer. A spacer takes all the available space, so this space is going to be occupied by spacer in the middle here, and this new will be shifted to the right. So let's see how it looks. Yes, it's been shifted. And now here in the row we need to set cross axis alignment to start. So if I use this cross axis alignment to start, it's been moved to the top, and it's been fitted to the container now. So I think the UI looks good now, just needs small adjustments, like here we also need to provide some spacing from the top, so we can add padding here. For that we have this column, so we will just add padding to this column, padding, and here padding edge insert start symmetric. We have the vertical padding, so let's add 10 here, and I think it looks good now. Also this can be reduced to 10, and the widget looks good now. We will go back to the top, and here separator builder we need to increase it to something like 15, and now it's looking better. So Here we have some spacing that we need to remove. Here in this list view, we have some padding that we need to remove. Edge insets dot all set to 0. Here we need to add some size box. We have height 10, and it looks better now. You can see we have this list view, we have this list view, we have this card, we have all the widgets. There are lots of adjustments that can be made, but the video is just for you um, to build your design skills. So if you want to build pixel perfect UI, so you can play around with it and you can observe each and every widget, and you can even calculate pixels, and based on that you can generate a UI that will be pixel perfect. So that is something can't be covered in this video because of time limitation, but we have built this screen, and in the next video we will be building this third screen. But it is enough for today video. See you in the next video. Goodbye.